story this morning that I read from a scrapbook that Sister Hartman loaned me. Some years ago, and this has been a good many years ago, when most individuals traveled by train. How many of you boys and girls have ridden on a train? Oh, a lot of you. That's great. It's fun to ride on a train, isn't it? You know, today we travel more by airplane than we do by train. But it's a lot of fun to sit there in the old car and hear it roll down the track and go clickety-click, clickety-click, clickety-click every time it crosses a joint in the rail. Well, there was a fast passenger train that had stopped at the station, and there was a lot of activity going on as people were boarding, luggage was being put on, mother herding their children on. A lot of things transpiring, the conductor getting everything lined up. And there was an older gentleman standing there on the platform that was very obvious that he had a limp. The conductor had observed him and watched him, and the train was just about ready to go. And so the conductor came by and he said, "Hey, Limpy, you better get on." And the fellow said, I'll make it. He passed it off. The conductor ready to close things up, and he came by and he slapped him on the shoulder and he said, "Say, Limpy, it's time to get on." And the man nodded and waited. And as the train just started to pull out, he stepped on the platform, went in and took his seat. The conductor in the train was going around collecting the tickets, making sure that everyone was comfortable. And as he came by old Limpy, he said to him, "Where's your tickets?" The man said, "I don't pay." "Oh," he said, "we'll see about that." He reached up and he got his handbag and he set it down in the aisle. He said, "The next stop, you go off." And the man said, "Well, we'll see about that." And so he started on down the aisle collecting tickets, and as he got about midway in that car, as he took the ticket from one gentleman sitting there, he said, "Do you know who old Limpy is?" And he said, "No, I have no idea." "Who is he? Do you know him?" He said, "I know him very well. He's Mr. Warburton. He owns this railroad company." The conductor turned red, at least from here up. He was very embarrassed. He tried to control his emotions. And he went on and he collected the rest of the fares and the tickets and took care of the passengers. And then he came back to Mr. Warburton. He took the roll of money that he had collected, the tickets and all of his books, and he came back and he placed them in his hands. And he said, "I'm sorry. I know my job is over." And he said, "Well, young man, sit down and let me talk with you." And so they had a chat together, and the kind owner of the railroader said to this conductor, "If you have learned a lesson from this and recognize that in your position, you must treat everybody kindly and courteous. If you've learned that lesson, your job is still good." And he said, "Well, sir, I've learned that, and I've learned it the hard way, and I'm sorry." The story says that that conductor became one of the finest, most courteous gentlemen that served that railroad company. Boys and girls, we never know who we're meeting. Last Wednesday afternoon, as we went down to Stapleton Airport to board the airplane for Milwaukee, as we walked down the ramp right by the station that we were to get on our plane, a man said to me, "Well, if you don't meet the strangest people when you don't have cameras." And there was one of our members from Milwaukee. She was the choir director of the church there. And they had been on business in California and were flying back, and we were on the same flight, unbeknownst to each of us. We never know who we're going to meet. And we never understand all of the impacts of our life. So it behooves us to be kind and courteous, to always be sympathetic and understanding, even to the old Limpies.